We begin our journey with the story of Mayer Amschel Rothschild. To understand the financial principles that made him one of the most successful bankers in history, we first need to understand the world into which he was born. His story is not simply one of wealth. It is a story of extraordinary hardship, perseverance, specialized knowledge, and the ability to recognize an opportunity that others overlooked. As you will see, the lessons we learn from his life are just as relevant today as they were more than 200 years ago. To begin, we need to go back even further, to the year 1475, and to an event that would shape the lives of Jewish families throughout Europe for centuries. This program has a story to tell as part of the offering that we believe is profoundly interesting, if not downright fascinating. Hopefully you, the viewer, will agree. That said, let us begin. Our story begins in the year 1475, over 500 years ago, in Trent, Italy. A northern Italian town with a Germanic population at that time. It was discovered that a 2-year-old boy named Simon had been found dead on the doorstep of a Jewish household. The family claimed their innocence, but they were accused of what was known as the blood libel. What was the blood libel? It was the false allegation that Jewish people murdered Christian children in order to use their blood for ritual purposes. At that time, only about 1 out of every 2 children survived infancy, and in some places, only 1 out of every 3 survived. Nevertheless, the accusation was believed. A trial was held, and the Jewish family on whose doorstep Simon was found was convicted of blood libel. 15 Jews were convicted and burned at the stake. Remember, this was the year 1475. Over the centuries, the cry of "Remember Simon of Trent" continued to be raised, and more Jews were burned alive. Simon was credited with more than 100 miracles, and there was even a movement to deify him. Now fast forward more than 300 years. Imagine yourself traveling to Frankfurt, Prussia, now part of Germany. Near the entrance to the city was a giant painting depicting Jews, identified by the patches on their clothing, holding a baby and draining his blood. Above the painting were the words, in German, "Erinnern Sie sich an Simon von Trient," which translates into English as, "Remember Simon of Trent." Unbelievably, more than 300 years after the death of baby Simon in Italy, the blood libel continued. Here, far away in Frankfurt, Prussia, Jews were again accused of blood libel and burned at the stake. That painting on the city wall kept Simon's memory and the accusation alive. Such was the intensity of anti-Semitism in Germany at the time. More than 300 years after Simon's death, those same attitudes would ultimately culminate in the 20th century under the Nazis, who murdered 6 million Jews during the Second World War. Now let us move forward to the year 1760. The Jews of Frankfurt, Prussia, lived in a section of the city known as the Judengasse, or Jewish ghetto. They were not allowed to leave the ghetto at night or on Christian holidays. They could not work in government, serve in the military, or belong to the trade guilds for occupations such as weaving, stonemasonry, or carpentry. The occupations available to them were limited to jobs such as domestic servants, shopkeepers, and moneylenders. Life in the Judengasse was extremely difficult. There was tremendous overcrowding, poor hygienic conditions, and frequent outbreaks of cholera and smallpox. The average life expectancy was only 31 years. Into this grim world, Mayer Ben Amschel was born in the year 1748. 12 years later, both of his parents died of smallpox. With his parents gone, his surviving relatives obtained a permit that allowed Mayer to travel to Hanover, where he learned the business of trading numismatic coins from an uncle. Numismatic coins are rare collector coins that are often worth many times their face value, sometimes thousands of times more. Mayer possessed a remarkable photographic memory, allowing him to master the field of numismatic coins in an extraordinarily short period of time. After only about a year, he returned to Frankfurt at the age of 14 and began working as a coin trader. He eventually became recognized as the world's leading expert in numismatic coins. Many nobles and wealthy collectors throughout Europe and England sought him out because they wanted to buy and trade coins with Mayer Ben Amschel. His success allowed him to rent one of the 3 largest homes in the Judengasse. Despite his wealth, as a Jew, he was still required to live within the ghetto. Mayer married and, believe it or not, had 19 children. 10 survived, 5 boys and 5 girls. His home became known as the House of the Red Shield because of the red shield displayed on the building. He eventually adopted the name Mayer Amschel Rothschild. In German, Roth means red and Schild means shield. Thus, one of the most famous names in the history of world finance literally means red shield. Mayer later sold his coin trading business and used the proceeds to establish a bank, where he prospered spectacularly. With his growing wealth, he contributed substantial sums to help secure legislation in Prussia that provided Jews with a path toward citizenship and the right to own property. As his 5 sons grew older, they left the Frankfurt Bank to establish branches in Vienna, London, Paris, Naples, and elsewhere in Europe. Together, the Rothschilds became the wealthiest family in the world, wealthier than many kings and queens. They also became known for their philanthropy, giving generously to many charitable causes. At the same time, they lived lavishly, building magnificent estates and displaying extraordinary wealth. Unfortunately, that public display of wealth fueled another wave of anti-Semitism across Europe, ultimately culminating in the Nazi Holocaust, the destruction of much of the Rothschild family's European fortunes, and the murder of 6 million Jews during the Second World War. When asked what the secret of his enormous financial success was, Mayer Amschel Rothschild said, "His secret was really no secret at all. It was known to most everyone, but truly understood by very few. In his opinion, however simple it may have seemed, it was extraordinarily powerful. He referred to it as the 8th wonder of the world." In this section on personal finance, we will learn his secret. You will discover that anyone can use it, but very few people do. Those who understand it recognize it as a powerful formula for creating wealth, and one that is available to all. Before he died, Mayer Amschel Rothschild was asked by his biographer, "What is the secret of your enormous financial success?" Mayer replied, "My secret is really no secret at all. It is quite simple. It is known to most people, but truly understood by very few. However simple it may seem, it is exceedingly powerful." More than 200 years later, another Jewish genius, Albert Einstein, concurred with Rothschild, referring to compound interest as the 8th wonder of the world. As the saying goes, those who understand it, earn it. Those who do not understand it, pay it. At this point, you may be thinking, that's an interesting story, but I'm not a financial genius. Maybe you don't have a photographic memory like Mayer Amschel. Their story is instructive because it shows that in spite of the disadvantages of being Jewish in Prussia and the many constraints they faced, they succeeded spectacularly. Perhaps you are confronting obstacles of your own in achieving financial success. As we continue through this section on personal finance, you will see how compound interest may well help you overcome those obstacles, whatever they may be.